I mean, look at who's picking right ahead of the Eagles. It's
division rivals,
Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, 10. It's the New York Giants at 11. And, a move up to number 9, let's say the Eagles can get there to where the Broncos pick. And I think that's interesting because let's say the Broncos might want a quarterback, but teams trade up to 8 now because Carolina got and Carolina got Darnold. So someone might jump up to that spot, and the Broncos might be sitting there and being like, well, our quarterback we like isn't here. Why don't we just trade back a couple picks and get a corner that we like anyway? Mm-hmm. And maybe that's where the Eagles get aggressive. They move up, and they're hoping that, I would think, if you're looking to get up ahead of Dallas specifically, they're in the market for a corner. So maybe it's a corner there at number 9.
Hey.
This is The Middle on the Sports
There he is.
Network.
Yo.
By Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studios, here's Eitan Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays.
Well, we return now to Sports Map Radio, where you can listen across all Sports Map Radio platforms, including live and local here in Atlantic City, AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. We are always live on the stream, phillyvoice.com/the middle, where we welcome in Brandon Lee Gowton at Brandon Gowton. Now, I don't know what this is because BLG covers the world of the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFL, Bleeding Green, everything that you'll get from there, the fantastic SB Nation site that he runs and operates, and there's so much more content beyond the written word on the site. But first and foremost, I have to ask, because it's not normal we get somebody, BLG, who puts on the bottom of their screen such an informed and detailed listing of who they are. So was that just instinct, or were you already on the Mac and Mac show, and you saw that? Is that what it is?
Yeah. I was on with Jody and John earlier this week on Tuesday, and I was like, I got to add the Twitter handle on there too. So yeah.
Here's my conclusion to this, Harry.
Yeah.
We are sloppy because look at the impact that one hit with Jody and John did on Brandon here, where he now has it, and he knew I better come in and fish. Meanwhile, he sees us. Your slant isn't even proper. Like yours is crooked.
Right.
At least BLG's is normal. We're a mess. We're a mess.
I know. And we don't make an impression like Jody and John. Like you one hit with them and you're changing things. Like that's significant. That's an impact. They make an impact, and we obviously don't.
I'm happy to be here all the same.
Thank you. All right, Harry, why don't you start, because this has been your baby all day here.
Well, yeah, this is what got me excited this morning. I'm reading Bleeding Green, and I follow Brandon on Twitter, and I see this tweet with a picture of Howie Roseman with his mask on, and I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, the Eagles might be eyeing a move back up the draft board in the first round, and I'm like, what? Like, what is happening here? What's the cause of this? Who are they trying to get in front of, and who are they trying to get?
Yeah, so I think looking at this and the talk that they're going to move back up, it's interesting because it came out from the Athletics' Ben Standig today, but also Tim McManus, a very good reporter for ESPN, of course, also put out something about like there potentially being another shoe to drop, and I think it kind of comes from, look at who's picking right ahead of the Eagles. It's
division rivals,
Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, 10. It's the New York Giants at 11, and a move up to number 9. Let's say the Eagles can get there to where the Broncos pick, and I think that's interesting because let's say the Broncos might want a quarterback, but teams trade up to 8 now because Carolina got and Carolina got Darnold, so someone might jump up to that spot, and the Broncos might be sitting there and being like, well, our quarterback we like isn't here. Why don't we just trade back a couple picks and get a corner that we like anyway? Mm-hmm. And maybe that's where the Eagles get aggressive. They move up, and they're hoping that, I would think, if you're looking to get up ahead of Dallas specifically, they're in the market for a corner. So maybe it's a corner there at number 9.
Right. Now, would it cost them maybe one of their third-round picks? Is that it?
I think the late third-round pick, the one they have from the Colts, actually. If you look at the draft value chart, you have to take that for what it's worth. There's obviously precedents that get made during the draft, and the market, if there's a lot of teams trying to jump up, could be more, could be less. I think a third round pick kind of is the sweet spot to move up just 3 spots from 12 to 9.
There you go, Eitan. That's all it's going to take.
Let me jump in here. and I need to just try and bring this conversation, not for your standpoint, BLG, but from Harry's standpoint, a little bit back to reality. Let's start here. The motivating factor of just leapfrogging Dallas/New York. I understand that you can attach a player of want and need, and that's secondary, but just in your opinion, Brandon, how much do the Eagles really look at as a fear or just maybe a concern that Dallas and New York could do something to mess them up? So they have to then get ahead of them.
Well, yeah, if it goes back to the corner thing, because I think Dallas is the threat. And the Giants, I don't know that they're going to take a receiver, but it's possible they could take Waddle or Smith if he makes it there to 11. And that could be the third receiver off the board at that point, potentially. So, you don't want to be left at 12. There's a very realistic scenario. Not saying it's guaranteed to play out this way, but looking at different mock scenarios where the top three receivers, Chase, Smith, Waddle, and the top two corners, Surtain and Horn, are all off the board at number 12. So, you move up to 9 or 8, then you're probably guaranteeing you get one of those guys. So I think that's the ultimate impetus, but I'm sure it doesn't hurt that they could move ahead of the NFC East rivals.
Really quick, Harry, I just want to ask a follow-up to that, Brandon. What happens if they don't move up and that same scenario of all the guys they want are off the board? You know where I'm going. They're going to trade back. They're going to trade back.
Or guess what they'll do what they've done in 7 out of the 9 times Howie Roseman has had a first-round pick, and that is take a lineman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take that actually over trading back. All right. That's the odds-on favorite. They'll draft a lineman at 12. Fair enough.
Well, that 8th spot, too, with Carolina is viable, too, since they already got their quarterback. I could see them maybe moving back down to a 12 and taking, the best receiver or whatever on the board. No, don't you?
Yeah, again, like if now that they have their guy, although I still think, let's say somehow Fields drops to them, I don't think it's impossible they could still take one. I don't think Darnold, precludes that like 100%, but I think looking at Washington at 19, the Bears even at 20, the Patriots at 15, I believe.
Yes.
Like I think all those teams could be primed to try to get to that 8th spot. But again, that could actually work out for the Eagles because they don't get 8, but again, Denver might want the quarterback and they're not there anymore because some team just traded up. So then 9 becomes more available if that situation plays out.
As far as trading back, and Jay Koch on the stream actually put this up, so I'll have it. You're also getting a lot of love for that Wawa hat.
Of course, thank you.
And look, I mean, this is a show that's seen not only locally here in Philly, phillyvoice.com/themiddle. So you are giving back to the local audience, but you're also repping for the city, for all the people that are out and about beyond the Delaware Valley. But Jay Koch on the stream put this out, and I'll just follow up his point to what you just ended, Brandon. Brandon Lee Gowton at Brandon Gowton, bleedinggreennation.com, joining us on the middle here. And that's not trading back, meaning like out of the first round. But if they see the same player they can get from 12 to 15 to 16, would you see a scenario where Howie could pick up, as Jay said, an extra third by maybe trading back with New England or a team like that that's more in the middle, even if it's 3 or 4 spots back, as opposed to BLG trading completely out of the first round, which would upset everybody?
I don't love it, guys. I don't love moving back even more. There was, I think the trade from 6 to 12 is defensible in that, look, this team doesn't have a franchise quarterback, or at least, maybe Hurts can be one, but we don't know that he is one. Mm-hmm. And to put yourself in position to potentially get one next year, whether that's, packaging picks to trade for an established player or trading up in the draft, or best case scenario, Hurts is a franchise quarterback. He turns out to look really good this year. And then you can kind of just build around him with those picks. I'm down with that. But moving back did hurt because you can get an impact player at number 6, and your chances are better doing that at number 6 than 12. And moving back even further, that's just tough for me. I know, look, this team already has 11 picks, most in the draft. They don't need just more picks. They need impact talent, and I just don't love moving back further and further.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. All right, I know we hit a lot on the draft here, but I got a lot of other stuff to cover here. The win totals came out on several of the books, and the Eagles are sitting right around 7. Of course, that's with the extra game, 17 games. What do you think about that number? Is it a good number, and which way would you go if you had to put $10 of my money on it?
Well, if it's your money, then yeah. I think it's a fair number, and also I think it's the under for me right now. Look, I mean, this is a roster that was clearly one of the worst in the league last year. Look at the quarterbacks they beat last year. Ben DiNucci, Nick Mullins. Who else? Like, these are like Daniel Jones one time. Okay, like they're beating they beat nobodies in their wins last year. And look, I think there's going to be some kind of bounce back potentially. It's a new coach that always gives a team a boost. I think energy wise, you look at their schedule; it's like the easiest schedule in the league by strength of schedule. So it's not like the opponents are exactly super difficult. But I just think, Hurts to me, and I have hope for Hurts. I'm not out on Jalen Hurts by any means, but when you start a conversation about who could be the worst quarterbacks in the league next year or this season, Jalen Hurts has to be in that conversation for me. Like, he could flop really bad. He struggled as a rookie, and I think there's room to grow. He might not be that bad, and I think his running ability alone could actually kind of help him escape that. Just what he's able to do with his legs, but. I don't expect this team to make a major jump. Like, who have they added? Who have they really added this offseason that's going to make a big difference for this team?
Right.
And I'm looking at it from that on the backdrop here. Maybe there is a reason why, or we're just diving too deep into stuff, which we do every now and again. But the Eagles haven't really officially committed to Jalen Hurts, right? And I don't necessarily know if that's the right or the wrong thing either, based on what you're saying, all this unknown. But is it just assumed that Jalen Hurts, no matter what they do in the draft and no matter what old guy they may pull, like a McCown, to be in this team, that he's the starter? Or is there?
Well, they got Flacco.
Well, Flacco, the old guy. So I knew there was somebody in there, right? Yeah. But is it just assumed that Jalen is the starter? Because it hasn't really felt like that publicly from the Eagles.
Jalen's going to be the starter, barring, it would have to be like he looked just terrible in training camp, like just horrible. And like Flacco looking really good, I think, but that's a pretty bad situation if that's what happens. I think that's like a disaster. If barring disaster level situation, I think it's pretty clear they're giving Hurts a year. I mean, look, you're looking at what Chris Mortensen said. He's saying like the owner is mandating this. Like, he wants Jalen Hurts to be the starter this season. I don't know beyond this. Like, I think it's 1 year he gets, and we'll see how he does. And I think if Jalen Hurts is anything less than convincing, is the way I would phrase it, as a starter, then I think they're going to look to pivot as soon as next year.
Well, your answer to my next question could have a big impact on Hurts' ability for this team this year. Who's the starting left tackle in 2021?
I think it's Jordan Mailata. I think
so.
He showed promise. Andre Dillard, like, there's a lot of internal concern about him. There really is. Like people kind of. So before Brandon Brooks got hurt last year, there was talk the Eagles were going to bring back Jason Peters. I think it was like Derek Gunn who basically said like it was only a matter of time. And again, this is before Brandon Brooks got hurt. Right. So there's internal doubt about Andre Dillard. There was talk about trade rumors last offseason. It's not impossible he could get traded this year after June if things go wrong. Although obviously you're not going to be really selling high on him. I think it's going to be Mailata. I think his upside is higher. I think there are real concerns with Dillard.
Wow,
that is outstanding, and not a fan, and not a positive way, but just that we're here at that point talking about a kid who was taken in the first round.
Yeah. And,
it's so easy to point to the JJs, to the Nelsons who didn't pan out here in that one position. But this is a concern, man. I mean, that was a kid who was there to anchor. And let's be honest, they got lucky with Jordan Mailata.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment that they got lucky with Jordan? Not that it doesn't take anything away from Jordan,
but they developed him though.
They developed him
for that,
and it was a good risk to take. It's a seventh round pick.
Pick.
Yeah, I get that, but you can't live and die that way. That's like living in sports wagering with like these 10-leg parlays that you hit. You can't live and die with that.
It can't be your plan A for sure.
Right. Okay, hold on, BLG. Hold on one sec. We're going to take a quick break on the network, but I want to bring something up. And if you're watching on the stream right now, you can see it because there are a couple of little Harry opened the door here now, so don't blame me by any means. It's the middle, phillyvoice.com/the middle and SportsMap Radio. All right, so there you have it, right? There's some Eagles draft specials. I went ahead and highlighted what could be a narrative here, where the Eagles, you have three options, right? Where they pick, what position they pick, offense, defense, and who that may be. So assuming they stay at 12, I went defense with the hopes that Surtan falls through the cracks, and then I tripled down on that with cornerback. Is there and I'm not trying to mine you to bet this, Brandon. I'm just curious because this is in New Jersey anyway. Is there a way that you see this play out with those three pieces of criteria?
I just going back to the lineman thing of it all. I mean, especially defensive linemen is what they like. Now, it's just tough because that's not, this isn't like the draft class where there's an obvious defensive lineman that they should take at number 12.
Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, there's no like slam dunk, no doubt about it. I mean, there's really no consensus number one defensive end. Like you ask different people, they have different opinions. It could be Kwity Paye for someone. It could be Jalen Phillips for someone. But he could fall as Aziz Ojulari is on there. I think I tend to still lean towards offense. Maybe that's jaded because I want them to go offense, and maybe I'm letting my own thinking color that. But I almost lean against cornerback just in part because I look at what Jonathan Gannon has kind of done with corners, doing more with less. I mean, they signed Xavier Rhodes, whose career looks like it might be over after the Vikings cut him last offseason. They had TJ Carey as a starter, who's kind of just a journeyman, and he played well. Kenny Moore, Jonathan Gannon really brought his career along. So I almost think like they might be able to do more with less at corner and almost won't go that direction at number 12.
Defensive line, then. Yeah,
defensive line.
Could you see Parsons if he's available?
I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't. They haven't done it since 1979.
79. Robinson. Yep.
Yeah. How are we doing this? How can we believe it till we see it?
Yeah. Is there anything I know it's a sticky situation, but this Deshaun Watson situation with the Eagles, is there anything there?
I mean, it's 6 different reports from, you're talking about national reporters, you're talking about Houston-based reporters, you're talking about a Philadelphia-based reporter. Like, this isn't nothing. Like, this isn't just coming out of nowhere. Like, these are a lot of different sources. And I think if you're just talking about football alone, which obviously you can't, that's not the situation. Right. But if we're just looking at it for 1 second from a football-only perspective, I mean, he makes all the sense in the world as a profile of talent that you would want to get. I mean, age, skill, you need a franchise quarterback. Guess what? Deshaun Watson is one. And guess what? You have the picks to get him. You can probably outbid anyone to get him. But
you think the Jets could outbid?
The Jets. I mean, if they're offering if they're offering 2, then no. But I'm assuming like they're gonna, Wilson's gonna be their guy, and they're not gonna do that. But yeah.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays.
We're back live on the network, live on Philly Voice, as we always are, phillyvoice.com/the middle. Brandon Lee Gowton, Brandon Gowton on Twitter, joining us, Bleeding Green Nation, as we have a final minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, so we can sneak 1 or 2 out there. Let me slide this in as kind of a response to what Harry brought up about Deshaun Watson. Yes, it's like 6 or 7 different reports, but I'm curious, could they all be coming from the same source?
I don't think so.
Okay. And I asked that seriously because you gave us your answer. That's why. It was somewhat of a joke, but it was also serious that I knew you would give us a serious answer.
No, sure. I just don't like that's so many, that's different. Again, national, local Houston, local Philly, like those are just different, I think, contexts. I don't think they're all talking to the one same person. And even like I remember Jason Lockenfora, who was the first one to put it out back in March, had said like this is like sources close to the owner of the Eagles, who like Deshaun Watson is like the apple of his eye, so to speak. And we know Jeffrey Lurie seems to get his way, so we have to weigh that.
Interesting stuff, man. How dysfunctional are the Eagles here, real quick? We had this whole athletic report with Shield, and a lot of noise came out last week about it. In your view, are they that dysfunctional?
I mean, there's not enough time for me to answer this question.
Well, it depends how much time you have. We're about to go live on the stream for 6 straight minutes, local, specifically to the audience. So if you really wanted to stick around, you could lay it all out there. But I don't know if there's an analogy, like what's a level of dysfunction that the Philadelphia Eagles are now mirroring, either in sports or life? I mean, are we talking about Congress level of dysfunction here?
I don't know about the mirror of it, but I mean, it is real. I will say that it is real. It's not. I don't think it's to the level of like they're the worst organization in professional sports. That's too hyperbolic. There's dysfunction in every organization. I think the real stake picture to paint them in, as Shield has, is kind of like they're probably more middle of the pack, middle of the league, which isn't the best place to be, but it could be worse. I think some of the biggest issues with that article, to me, the biggest takeaways: Howie Roseman is too much of a yes man to Jeffrey Lurie. He's not pushing back. I know he's the owner, but like he's not creating an environment where there's collaboration and everyone feels like their voices are being heard and everyone's kind of pulling in the same direction. And even if there's differences and there's going to be, disagreements naturally between the analytics department and the scouting stuff, but like for those people to feel they're respected, it's just not happening.
Wow.
That's
great stuff.
That's great. BLG, Thank you, brother. We appreciate you hanging around a little extra too. That's really insightful.
Thanks, guys.
You got it. At Brandon Gowton.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, if you want to find out about the Eagles, you got to be on that site.
Yeah, it really is and from what I hear, and we should have just thrown that in there at the end, but it shouldn't surprise you that site, of all the SB Nation sites, it's like the most read, clicked on site by a mile. I don't think there's any other fan base that's as rabid as we are when it comes to information. Aziz Ojulari, you like that?
Yeah. No, I don't like that.
Well, wouldn't he be the like second highest rated guy in that position that would be available?
Yeah, but I'm not betting on that.
You're out on Aziz?
Yeah.
Okay. Not Aziz. What's the guy's name? The comedian? Aziz Ansari.
Is that his name?
I don't know. I never got him. But.
Hey, now I changed the slash in my name on the stream. If you notice this.
Now what? I have to do this here?
No, I'm just saying. The reason why I didn't put it in as the vertical slash to begin with is I couldn't find it on the keyboard, and here it is. It's right in the same spot that the slash is.
Yes, it's just the same thing, right? You had to hit the shift.
Just had to hit the caps button or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're in.
Yeah.
You feel better about that?
It looks better.
It does. Now I have to get in here.
There you go.
Jeez.
All right, we got to make this an official show.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, that's probably the first thing he noticed, which is what's going on with these guys' handles here.
Yeah.
Andrew just says the Twitter account. Harry's slash is off.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. No wonder why we look like a mess. Oh,
something's always off with this show.
It is. Now, our second hour coming up here.
Yeah.
That
first hour flew by the way.
It did. Now we have a special guest that's going to join us at about 12:35, 12:40 here on the stream and the show. So you want to make sure you're tuned in for that. I think we got our fill for Barrett. I don't think Barrett's coming back on the show today.
Now he's probably on his third rum and coke by now.
Yeah, he's probably like, look, man, I got to go handle some stuff. And
how about Barrett drinking in the morning on the flight? It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was very impressed.
Is that the show, bleeding into his life again?
You think that there was some osmosis of him having to,
how now he's like thinking in terms of gambling when he's watching games because of you,
So
and here he is on a flight, first class. I'm drinking rum and cokes at 9 a.m. because of me.
Yeah, although I wouldn't put it past Barrett to be a rum and coke drinker pre the middle, especially on a flight, right? Like a flight is where even the casual drinker will pound a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because of nerves or maybe because you just don't want to sit in that little box.
Especially first class.
Yeah, well, first class, you almost feel like you have to take it. Maybe first class, you feel like the rum is better. You're getting top shelf rum as opposed to rail.
Well, you're getting Sailor Jerry rum in first class, and then you get rail.
Exactly. That's why you pay a little extra.
Cruzan rum or something. What's the bad rum?
Well,
or like a cheap rum.
It's below the Parrot Bay, right? Like Parrot Bay, I think is still pretty decent, right?
I don't know. I'm not a big rum guy.
No?
No.
I always thought that like the Parrot Bay, I mean, you've got Sailor Jerry is a $15 bottle a handle. Mount Gay Eclipse.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Because my buddy likes that. I thought he was trying to tell me it was like really good.
Well, I know that cheap is also like as far as how much it cost, right?
Yeah.
But the Mount Gay product is a nice one.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Cheap. But I don't know. Inexpensive versus like you're talking about the pop-off vodka version,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like bottom shelf, Calypso Silver.
That sounds cheap.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Calypso Silver.
Calypso.
Now, where does Morgan reach? Like, where's Captain Morgan on the thing?
Well, that's a spiced rum.
It is, right.
That's a little bit different.
Is that get looked at as like down? Do people look down on the spiced rum a little more than the regular rum?
No, I just think it's a little bit different. They were, it's just it sets it apart from like the Bacardi.
Okay.
That 151. Did you ever have that?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Fireball.
Yeah.
Right?
You might as well just drink kerosene.
Seriously. The 151 is that'll get you going.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is that when you look up cheap rum, it gives you good rum that's cheap, like budget rum. But I want the low end, like Diplomatico Blanco. It's $30. Well, it's a $30 bottle, though. I mean, that's
not cheap.
No, Plantation 3 stars. That starts at $16. It's an inexpensive white rum. A lot of these, like Banks 5. I've never heard of that. Have you heard of Banks 5?
No,
me neither. All right, I'm just trying to figure out Plantation Grande Reserve 5 years. Cruson, isn't that like a from St. Croix? Isn't that
Plantation? You can't be drinking Plantation anymore these days.
Yeah, that's probably not available in the United States, but like somewhere else.
It's been banned.
Yeah, South Bay Small Batch. Have you heard of this?
No.
All right. See, these are I don't know if these are just cheap rums or if they're good rums that are inexpensive. There's a lot of Plantation brands.
This is a Gow Media property in partnership with JAKIB Media.
And you, my friend, are caught in the middle.
The Middle starts now on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays.
All right, Barrett's off. He checked in the first hour, so he's off the hook now for the second hour. But we do have a special guest who's going to join us coming up about 12:35. And before that, more with the wins and losses. We're not going to go through any schedule today, but I am curious about a couple of teams that Harry has yet to bring up, including a team that we spent a long time talking about before a trade went down. So we got to figure out what's going on with Indianapolis. And also this, the Saints, I think, are going to be a really intriguing team to bet on from a future standpoint. And then from there, we have to get you ready for what I think. Look, if everybody was upset about the Brooklyn game, and I understand why people would be upset about the Brooklyn game, you at least have somewhat of a good game tonight, minus Kawhi Leonard, right? I mean, outside of Kawhi, but Kawhi's been out for a little bit, like Harden has been out. So I don't know if you were expecting Kawhi Leonard to come in and dominate, but it looks like Kawhi is going to be out with that foot injury, Harry, and the Clippers-Sixers game should still provide a little excitement. A lot of excitement tonight.
No, if there's no Kawhi, there's no me.
No?
No.
Look,
They're the hottest team in the NBA right now.
I was going to say that.
They've won 7 straight, I think.
They sat everybody against the Pistons. Look, the
Pistons stink.
Well, yes, but that's what everybody wanted the Nets to do against the Wolves, and instead they played Durant.
Okay. Yeah, if you're talking about that, I agree. Yeah, they should play against the Sixers.
Is going to be out there, right?
But
Paul George, Reggie Jackson.
The Clippers are the hottest team, and you know who else is really hot of late? They've won 5 in a row. The Boston Celtics.
Yeah, including last night. They handled the Lakers in L.A.
Yep.
Well, last night we took a bath. The show went 2-4 last night on those 6 picks. Not good.
And how many of those were yours?
None. So my 2 NBA picks blew up, and my over 6.5 for the Flyers blew up. Speaking of which, Oh, man, I got a sure thing bet for you.
The middle.
You can't have pigs in a blanket followed up by filet mignon, followed up by peach cobbler. It's too much. It's too out of control.
Are you kidding me?
There needs to be a sense of chocolate.
I don't know who this person is.
Filet mignon with Crown Royale.
Vanilla ice cream and apple pie? You might as well just kick somebody in the groin.
The Middle with Eitan Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.